USDA is out with its September Class 3 milk price. It puts it at $16.39 per hundredweight, which is less than August, but still better than a year ago. Year-to-date, Class 3 milk is averaging nearly $14.40 per hundred. Class 4 milk in September was $14.25, more than 80 cents below last year. The dairy industry has faced plenty of headwinds this year, but for some producers, the downturn hasn't tempered expectations for the future. Such is the case for Riverview Dairy, headquartered in Morris, Minnesota. This unique operation focuses on people and processes as the main drivers of efficiency. It's our Farm Journal Milk Magazine cover story. Tucked neatly into the Minnesota countryside, next to pristine rivers and children's book views, sits one of the nation's largest dairy operations. Riverview Dairy, with its 850 full-time employees and 65,000 lactating cows, is built for scale.
So we're currently operating in 5 states. We have 20 sites, 10 of which are dairy production sites. The rest are beef facilities and heifer replacements for the dairies.
But this growth-oriented business didn't start at the top.
In the early 90s, we had a lot of guys that had a desire to come back.
So in 1995, the dairy across the road was built for, I believe, 850 cows originally, and then expanded to 2,500 and has been growing ever since.
At that time, and I think the average dairy size in Minnesota was 50 cows. Average dairyman was like 60 years old. It was just, we grew as opportunity presented itself and as we had the people.
And people continue to help make Riverview successful, from its shockingly young leadership.
So on our area leads team, there's 11 people on the team, and our average age is 33.7 years. Which is really indicative of our whole company. Our average age in the company is 33.4.
To its employee ownership program.
70% of the company is owned by employees, and the other 30%, it is those neighbors around sites. When we do new sites, a lot of times there will be 1 or 2 neighbors that are close to the sites that are affected by the sites that will have an opportunity to invest in the dairy.
Both helping to create a culture of responsibility from the top to the bottom.
And so when we talk about the culture, we talk about people who are passionate about agriculture, passionate about life in general, passionate about what they're doing, and a desire to help other people become better personally and professionally.
Many employees here are professional.
You know, like my job, for example, I'm working at becoming an expert on permitting and environmental compliance. It's a pretty, particular narrow role for one dairy farm operation.
We have over 350 professional people coming from Mexico. It's on the TN visa agreement through NAFTA. And they come here on a 1-year visa, which is renewable, and several of them choose to renew.
College-educated veterinarians from Mexico recruited to come work and live at the dairy.
They really care about the animals. They're cattle people. That's why they go into veterinarian practice. So they already love the animal and want to do what's best for it.
A passion that pours across the entire workforce. Riverview has a full-time professor teaching language classes.
I think that's where it started. I think that's why Riverview brought me on. They brought me on specifically to create communication between the two groups.
I've been here for the last 8 years. I live here with my family, my wife and 2 kids.
Now a supervisor, employees like Ramon have transitioned into leadership.
All the exercise we do.
Sergio Vasquez manages all of the calf sites in Minnesota for Riverview.
We need to have the right people here, and the right people is to be patient. We need to be patient, people that is patient and have a love for the animals.
A love he and others are sharing through community outreach.
It's very hard to tell your story sometimes because you're busy farming, but we need to do a better job of that. So being in schools, being one-on-one with those classrooms, having students as much as we can out into the barns with the animals was our big goal.
It's very important that the community understands what we're doing and how we're doing it. We have a huge push for transparency.
Most people, once they've gone through the farm, any farm, they now understand what the practices are for agriculture, and from that they are a little bit more okay with it.
It's a system that seems to be working, from growing feed to building their own facilities, recruiting and training its own workforce, and raising the next generation of cows. Riverview is building a path toward the future.
And we have several hundred people all helping each other, working together, encouraging As the Bible would say, iron sharpeneth iron, and really that's what we encourage people to do, and it's our responsibility to help one another.
While Riverview may not have specific plans for growth, it continues to add new sites, and that's one reason why it has its own full-time construction company dedicated to building and maintaining Riverview properties.